My friends, welcome to another Let's Talk with the Doc. As always, it is Wednesday, and I am excited to be here every time the Lord provides good people. Some people that I know partially, some I know a little bit, some I don't know at all. And this evening, I have with me Pastor Fabian Thomas. I have a little bit of knowledge of the guy, but I don't really know him that much. So I'm going to get to know him a little bit more tonight. So says you, because even some of the people who've grown up with the man maybe don't know him that much until he share his story. So when I come back, I'm going to be talking to Pastor Fabian Thomas.
Okay.
ORB Ministry presents Let's Talk with the Doc. Grace Without Borders podcast. A thought for you. Ask Pastor. And a whole lot more. You never know what's next or who will join the conversation. All right, so here we are. I'm not sure what's going on. My YouTube channel is not popping up there, so let's see what happens there. But hopefully that will come up.
Okay.
It should be coming up. Okay, here we go. It's a little bit late, but here we are. All right, so welcome to Let's Talk to the Doc. I talk with the Doc, Pastor Fabian. My pleasure to have you.
Thank you, sir.
How has things been with you? How was your day, for that matter?
My day was pretty calm. It wasn't one of those hectic day,
Yeah.
so I took things in stride today.
What a hectic day looks like and feels like for you.
Hectic days when I have a lot of stuff on my desk. Well, may I say I work with the government at
Oh,
one of the government ministries
oh.
as
Okay, we'll get to that. We get to that. So the guy
so
a
a
big
day,
position.
a literal day for me means meetings, more than one meetings. Today I had just one meeting and a lot of critical deadlines to meet, which today wasn't one of those days.
Okay, all right. So that is already breaking news to me. So I'll find out somewhere as we go along. That
Okay.
that is later on in the lifestyle, in the life of the man. So we will get to that secular part of the life. All right. So for those people who don't know Fabian Thomas, and I say this, I sound like a scratch record, but I say this to all of my guests. Um, Even the people who grow up with you, the
Hmm.
people who work with you, who think they really know you, the people in your church that you've been for 40 years think they really, really know you, but they don't really know you because you don't sit down and normally tell them your story, the highs and the lows, the challenges and the victories and the battles. You don't tell people those things under normal circumstances. But now when we sit down to talk, you get a chance to say, oh my God, I forgot that. And people never hear it before. So they see you now, especially now you're a pastor, Fabian Thomas, all of that. They say, okay, we associate him with the man who is leading us, but they don't know your story. So that's why this program comes in and become fascinating because people get to hear personal stories and say, "Wow, wow, never know that about him. I see him. It's unassumable. We never know.
Yeah.
So that's why I do things like these. All right. So give us an insight for those who don't know Fabian Thomas. Where was Fabian born? What was life like growing up? Family dynamics, siblings, goods, bads, highs, lows. We're gonna take it in stride little by little. Say anything you want to, say nothing you don't want to.
Okay. Let me start by saying, pleasant good night to you, Doc, and
Good to have you, sir.
thanks for the invitation. And for those that are online, pleasant good night to everyone. I'm Fabian Thomas, Fabian Anthony Thomas.
Okay.
Uh, I'm a country boy. I was born in the cool hills of St. Andrew, a community named Robertsfield. I am the first of four siblings born to my mother and my father. I was fortunate to grow up in a home that mommy and daddy was there. And so the usual country settings that you grow up as a child, I had to go to the spring to catch water, as we'll call it, or some say draw water. I had to do that in the mornings before school. I had to do so after school in the evenings. And therefore, that was part of the routine in my community because we were grown up in a community that suffers up until this day with inadequate water supply. On a Saturday, myself and my younger brother, because I am the eldest of two sisters and another brother. And therefore, our chores on Saturday was to go to Woodbush to look.
Before we get to the shores and the woodbush,
Yeah.
let's get into the childhood part of it. The bigger brother, big brother, first brother. So tell us a little bit about what was it like to be big brother. How old are you among before your first next sibling?
Okay. Um, my sister that comes after me, I am a year older than her.
Oh, so that's pretty close. You didn't get much monopoly because you're the only one.
No, so we actually grew up as if we were twin, and we are still very close until this day, and that makes me 2 years, 3 years older than my second sister,
Okay.
and 5 years older than my brother.
So boy open the door and boy close the door.
Absolutely. So I grew up in a home that from early days, Doc, I was taught responsibility, being the eldest of the siblings. My father would have normally gone on the farm work program.
Mm.
And my mother, for the most part, goes to the market on a Wednesday and come back Thursday, sometime Friday, based on how the market situation goes.
Wow.
So I was left to maneuver the home in those days. And I'll give you a joke. I remembered that my first time attempting to boil cornmeal porridge. No,
That's a big challenge because cornmeal porridge is not simple boiling.
I was probably about 7, 6, 7 thereabout, and the younger sibling was looking up to me for breakfast, and I said, "You know something? Let me try my hand on the porridge this morning." It turned out that the porridge came out and
It's,
looked like
it's gonna be
cornmeal
turned
pudding.
cornmeal. It's gonna be turned cornmeal.
Or turned, better
Turned
yet,
cornmeal.
turned cornmeal because you could actually cut it other than supping it.
Yeah, because again, I'm not giving anybody schooling and boiling porridge, but if you don't mix your cornmeal into cold water and then mix it frequently when you put it into the pot, then it's gonna all come together. So that needs some skill. So that was a big challenge to want to do cornmeal porridge to the start, but we understand.
Yes, that was a big challenge there. But being the responsible one and that the others were looking up to, I attempted it.
Okay.
The other challenge was to
So what did you do with it when you finished? Was it eatable?
it it was eater because we didn't have anything else the morning, so we had no choice but to make a meal of it.
Okay, okay.
The other challenge in growing up then was being the elder brother and had two sisters and had to comb their hair. So the easiest thing that I normally does, although their one especially here was a little bit bumpy, I comb it in one.
Committing one.
and get a ponytail. Remember ponytail?
Yeah, I remember the
And just
ponytail.
have the ponytail there. Well,
Wow.
those were, and then we had the sessions that we had our games in those days. We had toys. The girls would play um Jack in the Box,
Hmm.
and for those who are Jamaican and remember, we always have gig that you make out
Gig,
of
gig and
stick
marble and stuff. Yeah,
and the
you
marble.
make it. Yeah,
Those were
yeah.
the days, and I was routinely
How
um
about how about Vivant?
yes, but we didn't have the Viva much until it was Christmas time.
Oh yeah, 'cause you could make your own Vivant from pear seed. So
Yes, yes, that's true. Right, that's memories. When you go in your country, then you're used to those things. That's the normal process of growing up back then.
wow, interesting, interesting.
Yes.
Were your parents Christians when you were born, or how was that part of the spiritual aspect of your life in your youth?
All right. The spiritual aspect. My mother was a well. I born to come see my mother, an ardent church Christians, very
Okay.
stern, very strict. My father, sad to say, my mother passed on in 1996.
Mm.
My father is still alive, not a Christian.
Oh wow,
He's celebrated his 87th birthday July of this year.
Jesus.
Doing quite well. But in growing up, we never had a choice of um, not attending church. We had to be going to Sunday school. We were persons that were children that had to participate in choir practice, Sunday school. And although my father was not a church person, not a Christian, we did not have any excuse. I tell you something. One Sunday morning, I recall I wanted to skip church, and I said I make up an excuse, and I said I was sick, I wasn't feeling well, so I am not going to church today. So I thought that was a very good excuse not to go. And my father saw me not making any move towards church. My clothes was ironed and placed on the bed, and he said, Fabian, what happened? No church today? I said, I'm not feeling well. And he said, well, if you're feeling sick, church is the place for you to go because you will get prayers. There and then, I did not have an excuse.
That's a good one. That's a good that's a good one. I know exactly that was coming, and when you start telling, I know that was coming. So it's interesting because and I you don't want to dwell on your father, but um, what's his rationale? And we're not talking about him, but just because of your position even now,
Mhm.
and I, I don't know your relationship with him, but what's his rationale for not going to church? Because he's that is philosophical, ideological. What's his reason?
Up until this, we grew. All right, my father is an ardent reader of the Bible,
Hmm.
and from back then, when you introduce church and Christianity, which is our religion, to him, he will start to quote scripture from the Bible, and he will start to tell you. I see him up until this day as I would say, a self-righteous person, and he will tell you that he's saved more than who's going to church and all of that, and he starts to go into scripture, because if it doesn't make sense, you try to trade scripture with him because he knows the word. And I always tell him that until he sees himself as born in sin, shapen in iniquity, because none of us were born as Christians,
Hmm.
and we can't express or portray this self-righteous thing without coming into relationship with God.
Hmm.
But he will always be an encourager to us as children, because if I may go back, I am a pastor. The church that I pastor is the headquarters church. One of my sister, the sister that follows me, she's the head of the usher board, and my other sister is a missionary, and she's also a member of the choir. My younger brother, regrettably, he passed on.
Oh, I'm sorry
In,
to hear that.
he was sick and he died in 2018. But
Sorry to hear that.
he died being a Christian.
And that's good for him. Kudos for him.
Yeah.
Kudos for him. All right, my friends, I'm talking to Pastor Fabian Anthony Thomas. I think I remember you used to F.A. Thomas, F.A. used to use F.A. Thomas back then when you're a young man.
FAT.
F.A.T. F.A.T. F.A.T.
Yes.
And that didn't mean fat. Okay, that didn't mean fat.
Is the acronym for my name.
All right. So okay, so give me a little bit more about the lifestyle, you were back into the going to get wood, and did you guys raise animals as well?
Yes. Up until this day, my dad still raised pigs,
Oh wow.
chicken, and goats. He has never been out goats. And
Wow.
I remembered as a boy, being the eldest sibling, I had to, um, we didn't cut grass or the feed for the goats. We had to tie them out.
Hmm.
And one of the experiences that I never love to remember is in the rainy season when you have to, and we I always have to, um, a big pen of rabbits
Mm.
back then, because my parents were of the notion that children should have responsibility in the home. So we were not grown up. Well, we didn't have cell phone and social media
Oh yeah.
platform
Oh
back
no.
then.
Oh
So
no.
we in getting up in the morning, as a boy, you have to tie out the goats, have them at appropriate location that they can feed for the day. Go and get some feed for the rabbits, carry some water for the house for the domestic purposes, and all of that. Feed the pigs. And what I didn't like again is to the pigs wallow
Oh yeah.
in the pens, and therefore from and this especially during the mango season,
Hmm.
wherein they are being fed with mangoes. You know the smell that goes off. So as a boy, I had to ensure the pig pens were cleaned, and in doing so, we didn't have pipe water. So it's some of the same water that we
You gotta show it with the bucket and shovel it out.
absolutely and shove it out. We didn't have any hose and to spray the water out that they could be kept in a clean manner. So
Been there,
as
done
a
that.
boy,
Been there,
I
done
growing
that.
up, I had all of that to do.
I'm picturing in my head exactly what you're saying. Been there, done that, know the story inside out.
So as a country boy, that was the norm of the day,
Wow. Wow.
because
Wow.
you're being grown in a setting that your parents are not rich, and so therefore they struggle to make ends meet. And probably I get on to that later on, wherein I thought from an early age that education was one of the means of pulling me and my siblings out of that poverty-stricken condition.
So that is interesting because and we're gonna maybe just uh get into that a little bit later as you say. But now that you mention it, at what age you felt that influence? At what age do you say I have to come up better than this? And what influenced your education desire? Was it because you observed at other places, other young men that you know? What was the influence behind that?
Okay, I at the age of probably 8, 9, 10, thereabout, I start to recognize the importance of education. And it was about that time that a few young boys in my era were passing their common entrance
Hmm.
and started getting into high school, Jamaica College, St. Andrew Technical High School, because we had the common entrance, the technical entrance, and the ninth grade
Hmm.
achievement.
Hmm.
And I said, I have to do well that I can get into a high school. And frankly speaking, I wasn't really a dunce boy back then in school, because in my era, I was always the top boy,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
there were a few girls in my class that the competition was always stiff between them and myself, but I was always the top boy. So I wasn't too badly so, but I saw the importance early of having a very good foundation. And I thought that putting old people, the older folks would say, put your head to your book and take in your education. I thought that was critical in forming my foundation for life.
Okay. All right. So I know were you privileged? Well, let's say you were one of the smarter guys in school. You were the smart top guy. So that means you were privileged to go to school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Because
we rain or shine, we were never prevented and from going to school. Our chores will have to be done before school in the mornings or after school or on Saturdays. But my parents did not stop me. So in the country, most children, because it's generally a farming community.
mhm.
So back then, most children would go to school most times Monday to Thursday.
Yeah.
And then on Friday is the
Friday's
day
load day.
they will assist their parents in the field and all of that. Rain or shine, Monday to Friday, we had to be in school.
Well, kudos to your parents on that. That's excellent.
And
Kudos to
that's
them
and,
on that.
and that's a plus in growing up.
That is a plus indeed because there are many children who have potential, who had the ability, but they didn't get the privilege and the opportunity
That
to
is true.
pursue dreams and to become, of great value. So kudos to you and your parents. You had the potential, and you had the support and the means, and they made sure. So congratulations to you. All right.
Thank you.
So all right. So you grew up and you did well. So did you feel like you were? Did you feel like a? Well, I don't. Back then you didn't talk about nerd. You didn't talk about nerd back in your days. When you look back now at Fabian in the early days, do you consider yourself to be a nerd back then or a nerd now?
I wouldn't consider myself much of a nerd. Um, from back then, I sought to strike the balance in life. Although with me, in order for me to do well, I had to ensure I allot enough time for the books. I am not a good what you'll call a snap of the finger where you just study in the morning and you go and sit the exam. I have to conceptualize that which has been taught. So I try to spend enough time in the book, but as separate and apart from being in the book, I try to spend time with my friends. I had a lot of friends, some which in my spare time I had to help with homework, help to read, and in the same breath, I try to balance my church life, which I know you'll get to later on, because got I became a Christian at the age of 13.
Hmm.
So, because of that, I was heavily involved in Sunday school, cleaning of the church, and all of those chores. So I wouldn't say I was a nerd where I in the book. Sometimes I really wish I had spent more time, but I tried to strike the balance across the board.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So you're privileged. And you did you have to do the field chores till you were at what age? At what age you get break away from it?
Um, I know from early that farming was never an occupation that I would pursue. Apart from, your parents tell you to sketch crop here and there because your parents do it, but I was never a lover of farming. And probably when I got away, Doc, is when I passed my ninth grade achievement. That's the exam I passed and got accepted at St. Andrew Technical High School.
Okay. All right.
Then it was an opportunity because of the distance that I lived. I would not be able to get to school for 7:30 in the morning, because the major mode of transportation back then, we had someone with a truck,
Mm-hmm.
one person with a Land Rover,
Mm-hmm.
and one person with a VW. And if those three vehicles left you in the morning, then you would have to walk a pretty probably 10, 15 miles to get a public transportation. So there's no way I could make it. So I was boarded out in Kingston
Oh, okay.
during my period of high school. I was boarded out. So I would go home like weekend or every 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
make it back down in town Sunday evenings after church. And then I'll try most times to be up for Friday evening, because Friday night is the night we normally have youth fellowship. So I try to be up on Friday nights to attend youth fellowship, church on Sunday, and then I leave back for town to attend school after church on a Sunday afternoon.
Wow. Wow. I am
And you can well imagine the Sunday afternoon, I would have to walk 10, 15 miles to get a transportation, because transportation was very scarce on a Sunday. Sometimes we have to boom ride, we have to sometime night. I would be there on the road. Sometimes I said probably have to get back home because I can't reach in town before hour. But most time, thanks be to God, He always provide. No matter how late it was, there would be someone come with a transportation to take me.
Man, listen, I remember those days. You're bringing back memories in my head, and I'm just picturing it. I guess, Lord have mercy. I remember, I remember those things. Wow. So you were kept absolutely busy in your youth days because distance and the availability of transportation. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
So now you as difficult as that was, it was a joy of your life not having to go to the field. How
That
did
was that was the major escape route for me.
how did your younger brother, who now maybe didn't have the same opportunity, what is his reaction to you? How did he communicate with you when you come on a weekend? How did he what kind of conversation you guys had?
um, he saw it in the first instance as him being no more burden, because I know I wasn't home, and he now had to fill the slot, and he was doing so, but murmuring, and because as a younger brother, and he was saying that, oh bro, if you was, because he always say, bro, if you was here, you would be doing this, I had to be doing this, and I had to be doing that. And the difference with me and him is that I was more the humbler one. So I would, in my time, do chores, take on things. And even if I'm unhappy, I would do so. But he was one that if he's not into it, then he's not going to do it. And if he get the flog, he make up his mind, and he takes the flogging, and sometimes he becomes rebellious, but that was him. But as he grew a little older, then his acceptance to these roles was more fulfilling, and he saw me, he appreciated what I was doing, and that because of my level of education and all of that, he embraced what I was doing. So you can, and then at some point he had his friends that comes in, and other family cousins will come over and give him assistance. So that's how he marooned through those days.
Oh wow. Friends, I'm talking to Pastor Fabian Thomas. I know the man a long time ago. I mean, I know the guy long time ago. Long time ago. And maybe from what, 1980 maybe? That's
Probably, yes.
a long time. That's
Long time ago.
1980. Who would have thought, who would have thought our lives would have ended up? It's not somebody that I hanged out with. And we meet in church and we fellowship, church connection and stuff like that. But I knew the guy a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm proud of you now to see you come to where you are now too. to pastor in the church, which we will get to in a little bit later from now. All right, so you've gone to high school and technical high school. When did Fabian know what he wanted to become?
That's a very important question, Doc. In going to high school, St. Andrew Technical High School, I was selected. Back then, you would have chose a vocation, and not sure then what I wanted, because at one stage in my life, I wanted to be a radio announcer. I was, you would have known the Good Morning Man, Alan Magnus, and
Mm-hmm.
I was always fascinated by him. And two, I wanted to be a teacher. Those were the two careers I looked at. But then here I am attending a technical high school, now put in a technical situation where I was selected for steel fabrication. That's the vocation I was placed in. So here I was doing grill work, welding, and all of those stuff, and preparing myself for this trade. But I was doing it, but my heart was not in it. And I did well enough to be successful, because then you had the ULCI. I don't know if you is familiar, but back then we had the ULCI trade exam and the City and Guilds that you you sat at the end of the tenure
Mm-hmm.
along with GCE.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did well because I was successful in all the areas. But leaving high school, I did not like what I was doing, and I did not have a passion for that.
As you said that before you go, you can. As you said, I remember that there's so many young men who were connected to a trade, and just like you said there in high school, some of them were doing mechanic, they were doing this, they were doing that, and steel fabrication, or making grills and gates and stuff. But a lot of them, even music. Even music, a lot of them play music when they were in school. When they leave school, they just like throw it away. So just like how you said, okay, I did this, I did well, but that's not where my passion and my heart is. All right. So you walk out of that. What did you do?
Okay, I graduated from high school, and upon graduation, back then it was CAS, and most of my classmates, everybody was moving on to CAS. And I am not hitting my father, but when I told him that I wanted to go to CAS college, he said, you need to get a job. You have other siblings, so I need to spend money on them, so get a job. I got a job, and I remembered that my first job was at Servwell.
Mm,
And it was my job there was to as an inspection officer, where when the fridge that they build are completed, then I check the temperature, the time it ships in, the time it ships out, and all of that. I was doing all of that. But then I still was not, this is not what I wanted to do.
so
There again,
what age were you then?
I wanted to do something in the
What
business.
age? What age were you at
At
that
that
time?
age, I left high school 18, probably 19, 20.
And you checking temperature on refrigerator and stuff like that?
And yes, and I check in the temperature, what time the fridge checked in. And I also inspect, because when the fridge are built, remember it's metal. So they build them in one area, they are sprayed in another area. So I was trained then to examine to see if the paint work was bulky,
Really?
sleeping on the fridge, or all of that. So
Wow.
and so I came under attack, because for the spraymen, if I don't pass the fridge, then it goes back to you. And most of them did job work back then. So
So if the
the
paint run,
paint
they got to
right,
sand it and spray
they
again,
had to
right?
resun and respray and respray. So I came under a lot of verbal attack.
I can
Probably
imagine.
feel these days I would have picked up something else beside the verbal attack. So I did that for probably about a year and a half. And then I applied to the Ministry of Agriculture. They had an opening in the procurement purchasing unit.
Mm.
And I will tell you now that I am a purchasing manager. So I
Wow.
started there and then. And when I got into the unit as a junior clerk at the time, back then I was a departmental assistant. That's what they call it, departmental assistant. So the mails comes in, I log the mails, I dispatch to the relevant officer because based on what is to be done and all of that's what I did in this inception. And I said, man, I think this is what I want to do.
Mm. Okay.
No, I could not move because I had no qualification in this line of duty.
Mm.
I got in because I had a few subjects, but then as it aligned to office procedures, business administration, accounting, and all of that, I had no qualification where
Wow.
that's concerned. So that's when I looked at myself and my with my supervisor, God bless her soul, the late Winsome Bragg Lawrence. She called me and she said one day, Mr. Thomas, you've got potential and you got to go back to school. I started, no, I enrolled at, it was School of Continuing Studies, if you remembered, on Soul Camp Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have gone there in the afternoon, in the evening, and I started a 2-year business studies program.
Wow.
And in conjunction to that, I was going to a sponsored course from the Ministry of Agriculture in government accounting. So I did module 1, which consists of 5 modules, and I went on to module 2 and then module 3, and then I would be just going through and was passing. And I got through for the 2 years, and I may I say again, by this time, I was now gotten to the point that I was married when I was going to school because I got married at 24.
So we're gonna get to the married part now because that has to be church life. So we that's we're gonna get to the married part. So you're probing up now. I didn't know you were a societal guy. I didn't know you were that level of society guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean,
So
I had no clue.
So Doc, I went to School of Continuing Studies for 2 years, where I did the business studies program, which you have the economics, you have psychology, you have accounts, you have, you name it. I think it was about 12, 14 components that builds up that course.
Wow.
And so on completion of that, I had already started at Management Institute, the certificate in public administration. So I was doing that on a part-time basis as well as in the interim, I do short courses, supervisory management and ethics, public speaking, and all of that I was doing. And so not long after that, I was moved from departmental assistant to junior clerical officer.
Wow.
In another year or so, I moved from junior clerical officer to senior clerical officer, then to procurement officer.
Wow. So you found your legs.
So then I found now that I had a passion. This is what I really wanted to do. And I'll never forget a lecture at one of my course that I was doing at Management Institute. And he said, he was lecturing and he said he loved lecturing so much that he will do it for free. And when he said so, he said, don't tell my boss so. But and he will go far and beyond. And I remembered, I don't remember, I think it was business ethics we were doing. And he was saying that nobody have to fail because I have enough distinction for everybody. So you don't have to come into my class if and but in are wondering if you're going to pass. I tell you, you're going to do enough to pass because I'm going to ensure that you understand
Mm-hmm.
And the key to whatever you're doing is to ensure you understand what you're doing. That if you, because part of what I gather to in writing, because we had to do a lot of essay,
Mm-hmm.
is when you take up an essay that a person wrote, then and you read it, at the end, if you don't get a full understanding of the subject or the topic that they are expressing in the contents of the essay, then you would not have achieved the ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody supposed to can come and take up your paper, read it, and understand what you're writing about. So those were some of the basics that really shaped me for life.
Wow. Wow. I'm talking to Pastor Fabian. I didn't know. I mean I saw the guy. I don't see him regularly because I don't think when we go up to what Mount Charles, right?
Mount Charles, right?
Yeah.
And I will see you sometimes when I come to Bethlehem
Yeah,
Tavern.
come to Benjamin Tavern. That's where we run into each other until I go up to Mount Charles. What was this guy that was at your church a long time ago? What my friend what was his name again?
Not Philip
No, Philip. I
or
for,
Milton.
I forget the guy's name. I forget. I'm picturing in my head right now, but I forgot his name. Anyway, we're not gonna let him distract us. But I didn't know the guy's story. I didn't know the guy was, as I said, such a societal guy. I didn't know he was like pursuing. I mean, just like delving into everything that's out there. So the number of things that you say you pursued in terms of studying and this, were those part of the package that you needed, or you just wanted to cover all the grounds that were possible?
I wanted to get to a level where I was marketable,
Okay.
and therefore I aligned myself that whichever possible promotion comes up
Okay.
that aligns with my qualification, then I would be able to put a foot in. So because of that, I did every possible course. And back then, once they see that you have the potential, your supervisor would recommend you to the training unit, and they will ensure that they invest with you. You are one for the future. You and the notion back then, if they send you on the course 2 times and you fail, and you have to do a third time, then
You don't pay for it. You
you have
pay
to
for
pay for it
it.
on that occasion. So I always, until at one stage, the lecturers at Management Institute will say, Mr. Thomas, this which course, come on, every course we offer, your ear.
I didn't know. Again, I'm doing this on like a scratch record, but if anybody, well, I just didn't know your story, so I leave it at that. But interesting. This is all news to me, and I know some of the people who are listening now and some who will listen tomorrow and next week and next month and next year who knew you from then. Some of your schoolmates who might run into some of these and said, wow, I didn't know this about the guy. I didn't know that, the steps he took and the process and how the dynamics, all they fall in place, they don't know that. So this is interesting just to hear the story. So when your supervisor recommended or suggested that, hey, you got potential, um, did she hang around until you climbed the ladder and was able to say, I knew you had it in you, Fabian?
Yes, she was there, and she always inspired, and she would have, boast about me just like her, like I was her real son. I tell you this, she invested so much in me that when she bought her first car, that's what I had just gotten my driver's license. I drove that car more than her
Wow.
because she lived right across Mona, and then she would only drive that car to work or to Legani. She would not go any further. And so, because of that, she always say, you have done so well, and you're gonna do this. And even when I will tell myself, boy, I mean, I don't know more. I mean, she said, come on, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it because you're gonna take over, right?
Mm,
And so she was always there as as a major support.
that's good. That's good. A lot of us need good, influential people in our lives and people who would pull us along or push us along. Some people
If,
push you,
if,
some pull you.
if I give you an incident, Doc, I remembered she had me, I mean, she groomed me and she had me to, I got to the point now where she wanted me. I was no longer, I was now senior procurement officer and she was the procurement director. And so she had me now responding to letters that will come into the unit. And I recall, I got a letter one day, just at the beginning when I started doing that. And she asked me to respond. So I responded and I thought, I did well. And she crossed up later and said, "What is this? This is rubbish. You don't know grammar?" And she said, "Go and do it. Go and do it over." And I tell you, I did that letter probably about 5 times until she said, "Yes,
Finally.
this finally this can go out." And it got to the point, she would have asked me to respond to letters. I would do, and she would recommend and say, "This not right, change this word, whatever, whatever." Until I remembered when one day I did a letter, and it was a very detailed letter based on an incident that had occurred in the unit. And when she read it, she said, "Thomas, I don't have to make no correction to your letter. You have arrived."
In chaplain's ministry, because I'm a chaplain. In chaplain's ministry, we said to us to a patient, how did that make you feel?
I felt as if I was on top of the world. You reaching a cloud nine because for somebody, because Doc, to be honest, she was this strict boss that sometimes you're nervous when you are going to approach her because she's gonna rocks you. But at the end of it, she will, after she rocks you up and tell you the hard words and you feel bad and you feel like, "Oh, I want to cry. Come on, I'm gonna take you for lunch." She was that sort of person.
So she not only the stick, she also give you the carrot as well.
Absolutely.
To make listen, I'm doing this because I want the best to come out of you.
That's right.
Wow. So
That's
she
right.
don't she not only give you the wound, but she helped to heal the wound.
Absolutely right.
All right.
So at the end of the day, you'll leave not feeling too bad.
Wow. So how long since you've been into this organization? How long now since you're there, and how many
um,
steps have you climbed?
all right. I have been a member of the civil service. I work with the government. Well, I don't know where anywhere else. I started. I worked with the Ministry of Agriculture from 1990 on, and I worked up to the point where I worked as the office manager up to that level when I left in 2011. 2011, I joined, I got applied and got the position for procurement manager at the court administration division. So I moved, which is the arm of government that gives administrative support to the justice system, or the courthouses island-wide in Jamaica. So
Mhm.
whatever, so I am there since 2011. So whatever, so you can check the years that I've been with government.
Wow.
Um, so whatever procurement is required for the courts across the island, be it AC unit, computers, repair to courthouses, stationery, toiletries, it comes to my unit.
Wow.
And we do the necessary procurement, tendering of what needs to go to public tender, and all of that. Ensure that the right thing is being bought, dispatch. I have to, well, today was one of the days that what we are doing now, instead of, because we have 56 courthouses island wide. So instead of buying per court, like we are trying to do bulk buying now, and then we will do the drawdown as the need arise per court. So what, today I was in an evaluation exercise where we're evaluating stationery, and not stationery, cleaning supplies, and janitorial products for the courts island-wide. So after the evaluation, it goes to the procurement committee and all of that, the whole rigorous, all of that. So
Island wide.
island-wide, 40
Wow.
parties.
Wow. Now I realize you're way bigger than I even thought. Way bigger than I even thought.
No, I'm just a humble servant.
Oh, I understand that. But humility don't make one small. Humility doesn't make you small. You know what I mean? You, humility is how you react to society and how you react to people, or how you treat your position and how you look at yourself. That's humility, which
Yeah.
is good. All right. So you're still there now. Okay. So how long did you think you're gonna go on before you say, okay, I've had enough of this, and I'm gonna turn something around to something else?
Um, that's a big
All right. You
important.
don't have to answer it. You don't have to answer it.
No, I'll answer it this way. As long as strength, because all right, my I'm not ashamed to talk my age. Next year I'll be 60 years old.
Oh, you're chicken for me, man. Chicken. So you're still so young. I
So
didn't know
so
you were
so,
still
so,
so.
so so I'm not far behind you, Doc, in
Oh,
age.
not far. 60.
They have a couple years ago moved the retirement age to 65. I am still not convinced if I'm gonna go to 65, but I am taking it in stride based on my health. If health allows me, I have my last daughter just will be 16 this year, so she's just in fifth form. So I might go a little stretch to ensure she is at least she gets her first degree.
Oh, so you just still got teenage children, man.
One.
You know how teenage child. You know how young how old my last son is.
Oh my, probably my age.
My last no, not my last son is 35.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not chicken. Anyway, congratulations on your achievement. So we're gonna have to go backward now, because we're gonna pick up on some things
All
now,
right.
going backward now to find out on the spiritual side. Because congratulations on your achievement, man. Congratulations on your determination and your pursuit and your achievement. Listen, man, I am proud of you even in the distance. I'm proud of you
Okay.
to step up and climb up and to hold it tight for all these 30 something years. You're still in government business, man. You're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing good.
Thank you.
Whenever you decide, you're supposed to have good benefits and everything just hanging around for you. So congratulations on that. Live long, so you can benefit, so you can inherit it and enjoy.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, let's reverse a little bit. Now I'm talking to Fabian Thomas, my friend, long years ago in church and stuff like that. Growing to ministry, I kind of was in ministry from back then, from those 80s. I was in ministry, so I've been around, man. So let's go reverse a little bit on and your spiritual side, the spiritual growth and maturity of your life. Um, Tell me a little bit about your church life, the climbing, because now you're juggling both you're juggling both. How did you juggle the Christian life, and when did you find somebody say, I cannot bear this cross alone, I need to get somebody with me to help me bear my heavy load? How did Fabian come to that, and when?
All right. If I may go back a bit to my conversion, because
Okay, all
um,
right, so let's
whilst
take that.
whilst I grew up in church, and I know not the life but church life, I got, it was we customary, we have VBS, Vocational Bible School, in August.
Hmm.
And I remembered we normally have our daily sessions based on the topic and that they're dealing with. And then at the end, they would have extend an altar call and pray, and ask who will decide to serve the Lord and whatever. I am one of the person that from an early age, I took the altar as a very serious place. So I would not go up for prayers because, some people, some of my peers every convention or every VBS, they will get saved. And as soon as VBS over, the backslide.
2 weeks, two
so
weeks or
on
1 week salvation. Yeah.
so on this particular VBS, it was in August 1979. I was 13 years old. I remembered the altar call was extended after the day's session, and I probably maybe myself and a few other young boys, because we're getting into the teenage now, and you feel as if you started to turn man, changes that take place in your life and all of that. So we did not want to go to the for prayers. But this minister that was there at the time, Minister Richards, she she looked at me. She said, "Come to the altar," and she called me by name, Thomas. I went up to the altar, and you know this song, "Into My Heart, Lord Jesus," and the prayer
Coming to
was,
stay, right?
"Come in to stay, come in, I pray." And we knelt there, and they prayed, and at the end she asks, who as of today wants to serve the Lord? And many put up their hands. That's customary. They put up their hand. But I stood there and I didn't raise my hand. And I'll never forget, she looked me right in the eyes and she said, "Thomas, you need Jesus." And Doc, I don't know what happened, but I just felt something melt within my heart. And I began to cry. I can't tell nobody why I cry, and I can't explain why I cry, but I knew that something came over me, and I felt a change, and I lift my hand. I did not say anything there because I didn't know what to say, because I was just weeping. But in the VBS would be in the day, and in the night you come back, and it was crusade. Came back the night, they called for testimony. I went out and I gave my first testimony. And that started my walk with God.
Wow.
The journey has been a fulfilling one. If I should live my life over, I would accept the Lord at an early age, because youth is the time to serve the Lord when the heart is young and tender. And I'm happy that I made the change and accept the Lord at that time.
I mean, that's still a pretty good age. I mean,
Yes,
looking back, you would have said, oh, it could have been earlier, but that's still a pretty good age. As a matter of fact, that's still a very vulnerable age too.
because as you said, vulnerable, yes, because there were so many things happening at that
A
time.
very vulnerable age. That's the age when everybody's experimenting and trying to discover, trying to get to know who they are, their manhood. So to pull you out at that point and to keep you, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. And as I said, it was some of your my friends, they said, "Boy, give you a week,
Oh yeah.
give you a month,"
Oh yeah.
and all of that. But my real challenge came, Doc, and for those who are online, when I left home. Mommy's not around, daddy's not around, my church person's not around.
Mm,
I am now boarded out in the big city,
mm,
and nobody is there to tell you, look over your shoulder to say, "Don't go here, don't go there." That's when you're really put to the test.
mhm, mm.
And going to high school, I was now in a form with mixed multitudes. Some of my peers, they did about anything. Some were from Tivoli, some from Trenchtown. They were mixed up in gangs, and you name it, they were participating. And I had probably about 3 or 4 other friends in the form. We all started out as Christians, and
Mhm.
we would link together and we would pray together. And probably after the first term,
They fall off the cliff.
they fall off the cliff and they join, because the peer pressure
Influence, man. The peer
was
pressure. Yeah.
so much that they could not. But
Wow.
back then, I know I was very quiet, very observant, and there was a godly fear in me that mommy don't see, daddy don't see, pastor don't see, but God never sleep.
The inner conviction.
Because there's always the little song, his eyes are fixed on you wherever you go, wherever you are. And so that propelled me. And I become, later on in my high school, I become a class monitor. I become a prefect. And it's all because of the qualities from an early age that were instilled and the values of good moral principle.
If you became a prefect, back then you had some really high qualities and you were highly recognized, discipline. Did you did and I'm sure when you, especially when your friends are divert and go to and getting involved, how isolated do you feel sometimes? Did you become a loner, or how did you manage and navigate that, especially seeing your friends gone off the cliff, leaving you?
Um, yes, there are times that there's that part of you that wanted to be a part of the crowd, be a part of the action. But the presence of the Lord, I believe, was with me and held me. And what propelled me to, as you said so, quickly I joined the Interschool Christian Fellowship. I become a
Okay.
part of it. So we would have met I think it was every Thursday afternoon. We met for an hour and we had prayers. We have our little programs. There are times that, and because it was known in my form that I was a Christian, every time we had the class devotion, I would be responsible. And up until now, sometimes I go on and say, Christian, I know somebody from Stats that knew me then. And they would shout me and like that. And so I had that responsibility when we are going to have general program, especially where it is inter-school Christian Fellowship Week, then we would have been in charge of the devotions. And sometimes we go to different, when I was now a prefect, to have devotion with the various class. We also participated with other high school that were a part of our sector. So on special time, we will go to visit their school and they will come to our school. And that was an umbrella group that I was in, that not only at this point I felt alone, but I was able to identify with other schoolmates that were a part of the Christian life, and so I was never alone.
Okay, all right, all right. So noticing that all the fans are, all the people are here, I'm very quiet. Nobody's saying anything tonight, but good to have you joining us, my friends. So Joy Grant Morse. I don't
Okay,
know.
I good
Okay,
night, Sister Joy. I know who that
okay,
is.
okay. You know who that is. All right. So I'm talking to Pastor Fabian Thomas, FAT Fabian Thomas, not Fat Fabian, but FAT Fabian Anthony Thomas.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So, all right. Church life, you progressed, you persevered. That's a good word. You persevered through the challenges. You get involved. You get a supporting cast because you get yourself linked up, and you moved on. So give me a little bit of synopsis of how Fabian moved forward now, climbing the ladder of spirituality. When did Fabian say, okay, what were the next steps?
Okay, after becoming a Christian, and I get immediately I got active. I was involved in Sunday school, not only a Sunday school student, but not very long, I started teaching Sunday school. Along with that, I was placed in a group because as young brothers then in church, we had to clean the church, assist the sisters in cleaning church. So we will probably have a team of four. And Saturday afternoon after the chores, you'll go to church and you will have the sisters doing the wiping
You
and
move the
you moving
benches and
the
this and
benches and
sweep
all of
and
that.
clean.
So I was involved in all of that. And may I say, Doc, if I may retract, sometimes you wonder if some things are in your gene or in your lineage, because the second national overseer and bishop for my church body was my grandfather, Bishop Milburn Farr,
Mm.
right? So I was involved and part of the youth ministry. I became youth president for the church. Not only youth president, but I also serve as the assistant church secretary for a number of years. I moved on where I was always a part of the youth choir until I became the choir director for the national youth arm, because we had then a number, we had a present, we have 11 branches, and so I was the choir director at one point for the combined choir
So that means you sing. That means you sing as well.
in my early days. And I think you know me back then when we had the group called the Legendaries. And
Legendary.
I was always
I think I remember
um,
that name.
called
Vaguely.
I was a member of that group.
Who is Donna
Um, I,
Thomas? Who is Donna Thomas? That's your sister?
Donna Thomas is my beloved wife.
Oh, your wife. Okay, okay, okay. We're gonna get to you, Donna. Gonna get to you.
And I think I think that's what captured her mostly, the thrill of my voice in my singing.
Okay, cool. All right. Oh well, I'm not gonna argue that one. I'm not.
So I was part of that group, but I'll come back to that later. But and so big well, traveling, I become youth president, national chairman for the youth arm of the Pilgrims Body. I also started to serve as an evangelist. I was appointed evangelist, and I was after evangelist for a couple of years. I was appointed by my bishop, Bishop Patrick McClarty, as the first youth minister for my church body.
Hmm,
So I was the first youth minister,
okay.
and by this time I was now living in Mavis Bank, because I lived there for a number of years after I got married, and we'll come back to the marriage afterwards. So after becoming the serving a few years as youth minister, I was asked to go back to the headquarters church to serve as the assistant pastor there, because the
Hmm.
pastor at that time, and which is still alive, kilos and blessings to Elder Louise Davis. She served as the pastor there for 25 years. She's now 94 years old, and she's still
Wow.
an ardent, active person in church.
Wow.
And
God
so
bless her soul.
I am Pastor Francis was now the pastor. I was the assistant pastor. So I served in that capacity for 11 years. And then pastor, I always, for those years, Bishop wanted me to be a pastor. And I said, Bishop, no, I'm not ready. I don't see my calling as a pastor. So, and I was saying a good cricketer too. Now, yes, I usually play cricket. And so back then, so when our Pastor Francis, got to the point, ill health crept in, and there was a meeting, and Bishop asked the question to him and said, Pastor Francis, now that you're going to go into retirement, who would you recommend to be the pastor?
So
I
so
know
so so that church, and that was it. That's what's his name on this? Is that Pilgrim?
Pilgrim Church of God. I'm at Osdalite, which is the headquarters.
Pilgrim Church of God. I was like, I remember, man. In my young days, I remember those places, man. We're gonna come back and pick up on that. I'm gonna make you get a drink of water. But you know, the person that I was thinking about, that was Grant.
Oh, you mean Reverend Dr. Norman Grant?
Norman Grant, man. Norman
He is
Grant.
now the acting overseer for the Pilgrim's Body.
You gotta link me up with Grant. You gotta link me up with Grant.
Definitely, not a
You
problem.
gotta link me up with Grant. Grant was Grant was our friend from back then. My goodness.
I have sent him the link. I'm not even sure if he's not on
I
as
oh
well.
man, I hope I see Grant.
I can establish a connection.
I remember that Grant. Listen, my friends, when I come back, I'm gonna take a quick break and come back, give the pastor a chance to get a sip of water. Then we're gonna come back and get the spiritual pastoral leadership part of his ministry, and then we take it from there. So hang in there, my friend. When we come back, we're gonna keep the conversation going. I'm talking to Pastor Fabian Thomas.
ORB Ministries presents Truth Matters. Join the Truth Matters panel for discussion on issues of the times with host Dr. Orville Beckford Sr. and his panel consisting of Bishop Ishmael Charles,
Reverend Ashana Knight, Bishop Franklin Ferguson, Bishop Colin Powell, Minister Laverne Augustus,
Dr. Danette Ming, Bishop Anthony Campbell, and Pastor Shelley Antoni. Nothing is off limits for discussion. Follow ORB Ministries on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And be ready for the next hot topic on Truth Matters.
Every Wednesday, 8 p.m., join ORB Ministries on Let's Talk with the Doc, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. There is a story, something to encourage and inspire you. You may even have a life-changing experience. You never know what's next or who will join the conversation. Stay connected. Subscribe to ORB Ministries YouTube channel. Follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
All right, so we're back. We're back with Pastor Fabian Thomas, and just because we're in this commercial break, I just want to inform those friends who are watching that come this Sunday night, I am beginning a big picture Bible study. We're gonna study all the major events in the scriptures from Genesis to Revelation and in between. But if you want to be part of that, you will have to register. So you got to email me at orbministries@gmail.com or check out my social media link on Facebook or on YouTube because the link is there. You got to register in order to be part of this Zoom intimate connection study. All right. So need more? Make connection. We can tell you more. It starts Sunday evening, 7 to 8:30. All right. Welcome back, Pastor. So, all right. So everything happened within your circle. The people are there. You didn't have anybody coming in from outside. You kind of just grow right there, and for all those many, many years.
Yes. Yes. And before I go on, as you mentioned, Norman Grant, for your information, my wife is Norman Grant's sister.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Small world.
Small world.
All right. Wow. Okay. All right.
All right. So you're saying now.
So I was just thinking because of the time and the people and the transition or you're serving as assistant or pastor and then and eventually this lady served what 25 years and then it's gonna come into you, so it all keep itself in the circle.
Okay. Yes. And when I became the pastor in 2016, and I, being not so much of the older school, I wanted to have a transitional, some change, some new dynamics to the ministry. Now, I would have faced a lot of challenge.
Of course you go,
because half of the congregation was older than I am.
Exactly.
And therefore, one of the first thing I did, I had a members meeting and I spoke of the plans that I had. And first thing I heard somebody, that now go work. From we born and them start telling me how much years they've been in the church. And them never said that at me yet. And I said, okay, fine. But can you just allow us to try it? And then you had some auxiliary in the church that persons were president for particular ministry for 35 years, 25 years. So I have learned that if you continues doing the same thing, the
You're gonna
same,
get the same results, right?
you will get the same results.
That's a heart of insanity.
Thank you very much. So I said I have to make some change. But and I strongly believe it was the Lord that spoke with me, because the scripture declares, in all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path. I plan a massive appreciation service for all those members, those who would have served you have persons that serve in the kitchen as cooks for many years. They have never received a plaque. And I sought to appreciate all of them. I did so because I was going to effect the change, but I just didn't want them to go out with an empty hand. And for the most part, many of them felt so appreciated. And I told them that evening, come out in your best gown, come out with your best tuxedo suit, and we're going to make it a grand occasion. And I tell you, Doc, it's sell off in
Wow.
Jamaica talk.
Wow.
And they were appreciated, and they were I now ask them, from the women's ministry, who would you recommend to take over? From the men's ministry, the poor men's president could have hardly made it. And they made the recommendations, so allow them to be a part of the process. They did. You know what happened a year after that? Most of those persons just start dying, one after the other, one after the other. I remembered at one stage I had to say, Lord, I don't want to grieve you, but I'm tired of conducting funeral.
Wow.
Because right now, most of the membership would be new persons that were the older person that I grew up with as a young person in the church. Almost all of those persons.
So the reward and the award and the changing, I and as you said that, I just remember Simeon. I remember Simeon just said, "No, Lord, let thy servant depart in peace, because mine eyes have seen your salvation."
Yes,
Know that they have been appreciated and they have passed on their ministry and transition. I might as well go home to be with the Lord. That is interesting.
that is it. And what I find, most of the changes, you will have the one and two exception that
Yeah,
will, but
it's church
but it's church, and
and
everybody don't think the
people in
way
general.
same
So
way.
yeah.
And most of the different things that I've bought in, because I told them the only thing that does not change is the word of God, because I'm not going to add to it, I'm not going to take away from it. But as time progresses, age would have worked out something, because you remember that, if you look in your house, you remember when the first time you get one black and white TV,
Okay, yeah. It was
and
like
then
a
afterwards we
12
move to
inch.
the color, and then we move to whatever we have now. You
I
can put
I
on
was so happy
YouTube.
when I got a used 12-inch black and white TV. Boys, like my world changed.
Absolutely. I remember the first time my dad bought one. The house lit up. And we remember the shows back then.
Although it's sign off like 10, 11 o'clock at night, it's sign off on this
And it's, yes, TV, TV sign off.
sign off.
Right. Yes, that's a good remember that. Because TV no sign off again.
No, you should sign off 10, 11, man. You guys,
10,
all
11.
the
Yeah,
colors on the screen. That's all you heard.
absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Right. So that taught me, and the less, and what assisted me, Doc, if I may go there, whilst assuming the leadership, I found out that church life and leadership in church, especially these days, and you can attest to that because you're to our leader, can be very challenging. And therefore, I now saw the need of furthering myself in mentoring the life of others. I also saw where I needed to gain more knowledge as to how to the people skill. Because what I find, Doc, that is a weakness even in church. You will get a position in leadership, pastor or evangelist, because you can shout at the top of your voice.
Mhm.
Not that you know the word, not that, but you are deemed anointed and spiritual. The stronger your voice is, and 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 after a while, you find that persons would have been imparting the word, but there wasn't any substance in what they were.
And no real knowledge of it either.
Thank you very much. And some of the sermons were out of context.
Absolutely.
So I now saw the need of going to Bible school. And
Speak my language, brother. Speak my
so
language.
I went to One Way Theological Seminary. It's from the Pentecostal background, but they do not impose or teach, because what their doctrine.
Mhm.
The church history and whatever, they have people from lecturers from UAV, from JTI, and the various different institute. We did a course in communication skills, and the lecturer was a teacher from that teacher at Michael College that came. So it was a very advanced course. So I did my a BSc there in church leadership and management. So this now assisted me, and with this, Bishop sought to install me. I am also the director for the training courses. That because whenever we appoint officers to serve in our body, then they would have to attend these courses before prove themselves, because you
Mhm.
are appointed and you serve for a period of 2 years. Once your pastor now sees that you are ready to be ordained, then the recommendation is being made. The church board examines, look at it, and then you are being contacted for that. So this background now assisted me in being able to, at a point, it's my plan to go on to do my master's sometime soon. But this now set a framework on which I could build on in mobilizing, because you have members in your our young people. Gone are the days when you will say, Doc, that we were being taught that you receive salvation at the foot of the cross, and therefore Jesus will teach you. And so we grow up under a lot of teaching that was out of context and misquoted. So when you have, and so I am not putting down anybody here, but when you have young people in your congregation,
Let's
BSc,
say
us,
brilliant. Let's say brilliant young people,
brilliant, that's an appropriate word.
smart young people.
So they're not going to sit and
They're not
accept
taking foolishness.
foolishness, and they will tell you,
They're gonna
you
ask
know,
questions. You better have answers too.
my daughter always will tell some, if she goes to church, and sometimes she say, I said, what was the topic of the sermon? Dad, the topic of the sermon was this, but the preacher said nothing relative to the topic.
Absolutely. So, and again, been there, done that, my friend. We people come up and give you some fantastic subject and preach the whole night and has no reference to the subject. Read a scripture portion and has no reference to the portion of scripture, no explanation, no understanding of it. Those days are gone.
Thank you very much. And that's why, and I reference Timothy when he says, study to show yourself approved, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And so if we are called for ministry, then we have to equip
It's
ourselves for
your
ministry.
responsibility. But
Because, go
but
ahead.
not to cut you, but it's your responsibility. But we didn't have mentors and influence. We didn't have people who influence that because they weren't doing that for themselves. You got to come up behind them and discover for yourself that what I have is not enough. And you got to pursue that for yourself to say, you know what, I want to develop myself because I want to have something to give to the people who look to me for something. I like to talk about preaching a basket of summer fruit, something that everybody can get something from.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned that, I remember at one point in my Christian life, I would go to church and leave church unfulfilled because the sermon that was delivered, the excellent topics, and I go all perked up. Yes, I need a word. I need something to
Yeah,
transfer in my spirit. And you leave not getting, trying to understand. If you are at a point, I don't know if it happens to you, that
trust me.
sometimes people will leave church and say, oh, what a wonderful time we had last night. And you wondered if
Not
you
a
were
thing.
at the
What did they
right
get?
place or is the
What?
same place you were.
And I said again, I'm not. This is your time. But I'm just supporting what you're saying. I said I have had enough noise in my life. I've gone past noise. You better tell me something. You better tell me something that makes sense. You gotta give me some biblical interpretation. Give me some exegesis. Give me some understanding of the scriptures. Let me know what the author. And that's why I teach homiletics.
Okay, okay, great.
Okay, I teach homiletics. So, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, church leadership in this day and age, if I may go back there, Doc, and to the listeners, it's a different wavelength from 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's a new generation. I remember back then as a young people, you do as pastor say and you don't question it.
Amen.
And therefore you will in a setting, and for some of the older leaders of our congregations, whenever a brilliant young sister or young brother would stand up and say, pastor, I didn't quite understand, based on the context of the scripture you raised this issue. I did not, it wasn't clear, because to me, I does not perceive that that's what the scripture is saying. And instead of trying to clarify,
I put you in your place, man.
they put you in a place. Who dare you? I am the pastor. You don't question what I say. And so back then, we listened and we don't ask any question because we were to be seen and not to be heard. Because who are you? Pastor is anointed and pastor is hearing from God.
No, the Holy
So,
Ghost telling, man. The
and the
Holy
Holy
Ghost
Ghost
telling, yeah.
speak, and there were these sessions or sermons that they would preach, and sometimes you go home, you can't sleep, the way you're nervous because not that the word is not to equip you or to challenge you as an individual, but when it instead of it ministering to you and becomes a means of being a change agent, you find out that you becomes worrying and fearful.
So exactly. So instead of the word brings you to sanctification, it drives you to fear. And
Absolutely.
it doesn't help you because you don't have an understanding of what to do, how to apply the word, what the word really means. And anyway, we're not teaching class here, so
All
this,
right.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So I'm talking to Pastor Fabian Thomas, the man who grew up in his own church. Now, I must give you credit too. I must give you credit too for um, getting to the point where you've gained the respect of your congregation, that you grew up here. They watch you as a young man maturing, and see it fit that they can say, we think this guy could become our leader. That is a plus to you. Because as you know, the Bible says, the king is not without honor except in his own country. So
I tell you, one of the hardest place to minister is in your own
in
house.
your in your own house, in your own house. Wow. So
Yes.
so so you
All
know in
right.
the leadership position, and God bless you. You're moving up the ladder. You're gone into, somebody say you're assistant overseer. One person is just showing off. My own pastor, assistant overseer Thomas. So
Okay. So no, being the pastor for the headquarters church, and I serve on the pastors council, which comprises of all the church pastors and the assistant pastors, and I am um, also a member of the Board of Governors. That's the governing authority for the church body. So you have, I think, it's 7 members on this board. So that's the highest level of authority for our church body. So our overseer, general overseer, Bishop Patrick McClarty, he is on a year administrative leave, and with the view of retiring next April. So the pastors council met, and in convention of this year, which was March, and the decision was taken from the pastors council, from the pastors that were there, to choose from among them or from among us, 2 men who will serve, one as the acting overseer and one as the assistant overseer. Pastor Grant, Norman Grant, was selected as to act for the year as the acting national overseer, and myself as the assistant overseer. So
What I am so proud of is that both you and Grant, young men, in and being faithful for all these years. Because I remember Grant so well. Man, we talking about 40 years.
40 years, 40
We
plus
talk about
years now.
40 plus years.
Yes.
40 plus years. Man, I'm talking about from 1980. We
Absolutely,
talk about
yeah.
45 years.
Yes. Yes.
From I know you guys, man, you were young, and Grant was like the sharp. I mean,
Sharp
sharp
evangelist back then.
evangelist Grant, man. I mean,
He usually preach on the bus.
I know you guys from. I am so proud of you guys to see you grow up, and now you're like 1 and 2, at least in the interim. That is still a big deal. That is still a big deal, man. Congratulations to you, and just tell Grant I need to chat with him.
I will. I'll give him the contacts.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. Man. So no wonder you hook up to his wife, to his sister now. No. So let's get that little piece before we wrap it up tonight. Let's get that little piece before how did you delve into the Grand family? How did that come about?
Okay. I think it is an attraction that started um earlier in my younger years, because I usually attend St. Andrew Technical High School, while my wife Donna attended um, Dunoon Technical High School,
Okay, all right.
and therefore we would on especially like on weekends, Friday evenings, we would meet in Papine, and we will strike up a conversation, and we started there was that attraction, and I did not know that it would have matriculated into marriage later on, because I got married when I was 25, she was 24, and
Okay.
it goes back now to the singing, and so we had the legendaries, and we had Norman was our manager.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
So Norman was the manager, and he would have coordinated the concerts, and so we went far and wide in singing, and there, with that being said, Donna now was always attending these concerts with Norman, and the communication line got a little wider. We begin to talk more, begin to see each other more, and then we got to the point that I give you a joke. I remembered when we usually talk, and took her out on a date, and I said, I'm interested, and you and I want to move from social to intimate, and the whole communication cut off. She stopped talking.
Oh, she know I hear it.
I think it was more well, that at that time she said she did not see me as being a lifelong partner. She saw me as a friend.
Oh
So
wow.
I was extending the barrier now from being social friend to becoming an intimate friend, you know. And as you would recall, we didn't have phone then. So
Mm-hmm.
I remember penning her a letter.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. All right.
And she took a while. And when I was saying to myself, seem as if, boy, she's not going to respond. She responded and she said, I have prayed. I never forget. I prayed about it and I've got an answer from the Lord. Because in everything there back then, we use the Lord. You never go without saying the
Mm-hmm.
Lord says and whatever, whatever. And
So when you seen that all was lost, she reaches down her hand.
and one of the songs that I usually lead back then is "Hold me so
Oh,
close, Lord, till
till
I
I
feel
feel
your
your
heartbeat,
heartbeat.
and don't let me wander away." And that was one of her favorite songs, you
Okay,
know.
okay, all right.
And the rest is history. We started to send the letter, and you send those letter, and at the end, you begin to put "You're my sugar in my
Oh, oh,
coffee
oh,
and
oh,
the
oh,
milk in
oh,
my
oh,
tea,"
Lord of mercy. Oh,
and you
Lord of
draw,
mercy.
and you put you draw a little red art with the red ink pen.
So my curiosity, did you still feel sanctified, or you just feel like like you hope, like desire override sanctification?
To be honest, there are times when you write these letters and you church back then, and you don't commit any sin, you don't commit to any
I
act.
know, I know.
But when you go to church,
And
you're
they
at a
start to
spot.
preach the conscience. Yeah.
The guilty conscience speaks because you're human, and all sort of imaginations start to
Mm.
come into your head and all of this and
Well,
so forth.
the truth is that your environment make you feel that way. They
Yes,
create the atmosphere of guilt. Like this was an ungodly thing. It's an abomination to tell somebody you love them. It's an abomination to court somebody. It's an abomination to have a date. It's ungodly to tour. You go by yourself. You got to get a group of people to go because they got to
yes.
protect each other. All this crazy stuff. But
If
we've
you're
been
gonna
there.
go out
Yeah,
and you ask pastor, the pastor will ask you, somebody say you're certain I am.
and go send somebody out with you,
Do,
yeah,
do, 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 who is the older person that is going with you?
all that foolishness, man.
And as you rightly said, the
They
environment
create that
creates
environment.
guilt, and therefore you try to walk on the chalk line. I remember, if I may preempt, is that when I remembered, I go to, it was Bishop, who is my grandfather then, and the other pastors, and because as a mark of respect, you have to go to them and you have to tell them and all of that. And I said I was going to get engaged. But when you go to them to say you're going to engage, you have to have the date that you're going to get married,
Oh yeah, yeah. They kind of want a long period. They better get it like as
because
short
they
as
don't
you
want
can.
any long period. And I'll never forget, one of the pastors said, "Nobody put the woman on a shelf and engagement on a marriage." and and all of that. So and Donna will tell you, I wouldn't even hold her hand, because you feel as if you hold her
You
hand,
can't do that.
it's
It's a
as
it's
right.
abomination.
It's
You can't do it.
abomination. You
Yeah,
don't
you
do
can't do
that
that.
as a brother, right? And I tell you, so that's how we started, and we got married on the 11th of August, 1991.
1991, man. I got so many years ahead of you, man. Whew,
Yeah,
but
you're a little ahead of me.
a little. I got married 1978.
Wow, that's ages.
78. Okay, so
That's ages.
that's a while ago.
That's some time now. That is been some time.
So I got 47 years under my belt already.
Wow. Wow. I pray to God that you'll go 50 and beyond.
Well, I still feel good, so we'll see what happens if the Lord gives me breath. But congratulations. So yeah,
Thank you.
we were well, and I think as Donna said, we were well saved. I think what people missed back then is the personal dignity, sanctification, personal respect of young Christians. They feel like they had to trust you,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
you couldn't trust yourself.
Yes, there was this major trust factor.
They had no faith in your discipline, your character. They just thought we gotta keep eyes on you. Oh God, we have come so far.
I tell you, and when I see, even now within the context of the church, sometimes what is happening, and these young people, they will invite you to their wedding if they so desire.
Hmm.
They don't come. It's not like what is a few will come and say, Pastor, if you see me move with this person, X, Y, this is happening and so forth. I ask for your blessing, I ask that you pray for us. But our young people don't do that anymore. They do their thing.
And
And it's
listen,
like,
and I don't want it to be like you disrespect and you exempt your church and you don't want to have counsel and guidance. Those things are important because you're going into marriage, you need to know what you're going into. I don't marry people unless I get time to counsel them because I want them to be aware of what they're
but this is
going
good
into.
days, Doc. In
Yeah.
my days, we didn't have counseling back then.
Nobody will counsel nobody. I'll just pray for you and just pray for you. And pray to prayer for you until you go get married. I mean the stupidity of how we did things then, but because of the grace and the mercy of God and what He had in our lives, a lot of us
Yes,
make it. A lot of us
that's right.
make it because we were sincere and we were genuine, but we weren't learned. We weren't counseled and guided. People warn you, but you weren't guided.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because of that, many fell by the wayside, many fall
Yep.
victim.
Yep. Yep.
And too, Doc, you try to please your leaders, because back then a lot of persons who they genuinely love, they were not consented to marry them because pastor didn't get the vision.
Dear God, let's not go there.
And God help you if they did not get the vision and you bring that person, you becomes a target in the church.
No other mercy. Oh, listen, we need another time to talk that story, okay?
Definitely.
Because I've been in church for 50 odd years of nearly 60 years of my life. I've been in church. So I know the church story inside out. I've been there, done that, seen it all sides. But may God bless you, man. And I think because you have developed yourself and because you have come through the process and because you understand the good, the bad, and the ugly, because you've seen the other side of the story and you've experienced it, and you have now been on this side where you learn where you're coming from. It
Uh-huh.
makes you better able now to relate and to minister to people, because what people used to say as red flags and danger signs, some of those weren't danger signs and they weren't
No,
and they
no.
weren't red flags. It was just people's imaginations.
That is it. And because, as you mentioned earlier, most of those our leaders, they had a trust factor,
Oh yeah.
because firstly they did not trust themselves,
Well,
so therefore
that's the
it did
exact
not
line I
allow
was.
them to have any form of confidence in the young people.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
You know? Yeah.
Absolutely, I couldn't say that better. That was a very line in my thought. But man, listen, man, I am so proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations, man. So when before we get it out, when did Donna respond? Did she respond to your notes, and what was her response?
Oh, as I said, she after a good span of time, I don't remember how long, but it was a good period. I was actually getting a bit frustrated, but she did respond, and she responded that, and I'll never forget that she said, Fabian, I have not fallen in love with you.
Whew.
I have grown to
Oh,
love
okay.
you.
All right. All right. All right. All right.
And
'Cause that's better because if you fall in, you can fall out, right?
because you can fall out. And I'm happy after 34 years, it is growing
Still
stronger
growing.
and sweeter.
All right, Donna.
And
My one of my sons, right? My first son, he was maybe seven, 8, maybe. And there was a young lady staying with us who was kind of taking care of them, and she was a
yes,
Christian too. Another young guy who wanted to have a communication with her in the same kind of, want to make, because they were Christians together, but
yes.
she had no interest. But my little son, because we're in the home, his one of his remarks about her name was Marcia. I say, Marcia, I play hard, forget.
Well, I think it's Doc. It is a part of the Jamaican culture
Test the
that
waters and see if you can
that you
hold it.
just as a young man, and because of that, some young men grew impatient, and
Yeah,
some sisters would have lost out
that's
because
true.
they took too long to
Yeah.
give a positive response to the brother. So therefore, the brother moved on.
Moved on, moved on.
But the Jamaican culture taught our young ladies that don't play too easy
Easy forget.
to get. And as the songwriter said, all when the love in your heart are boil up for the brother, not tell him yes the first time. So because of that, they will really and genuinely want to say yes, but may I put him off, man. Just like when you're going to get married, and the bride turns up very late and have you sweating profusely at church before she come, and you say, oh, the bride I get dressed, and you look through the window and you peep, and then sometimes you can't even turn back and say, don't look back because of bad luck. And so that, but in the fullness of time, she responded, and I may I say, one of the good qualities about my wife up until now, she has been a woman of faith and a godly woman, not a upfront person. But she is a worker, a prayer warrior behind the scene. Ask her to do anything for ministry, she will, but she does not want to be in the limelight. I can tell you that.
Whatever, Donna. No, no, Fabian can say it. Okay, you can say it, and you can say it with pride. Good things come to those who wait.
Right, and she has been the mother of my 3 wonderful children.
God bless you. God bless you, Dana. I'm glad you didn't wear it out and lose your opportunity. I'm glad you responded right on time. Okay.
Absolutely, because she would have lost big time.
Just be thankful Fabian didn't just move on next door, okay? Because God intended it to be like that. So he held him a little bit longer.
Because back then, because I was a good singer, there were many sisters looking on.
I know, right? I know. Hot stuff. Oh my God, man! I enjoy talking with you, man. I enjoy talking with you. I appreciate you coming on and spending some time with me, and good to hear the stories. I would have never in my lifetime, get any hint in your story. How would I even know you're married to Grant's sister? Goodness
Oh my
me!
God! And I didn't even tell you that I am a justice of the peace.
Well, no, I know that. So say me. I've been a notary. I've been a notary public for 20 something years as well.
Wow!
So, yeah,
Congrats.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've done a lot to build myself up. Okay,
Yeah.
I've gone to school 12 years of university and stuff. I got well, I'm not gonna talk about me. It's your time. So, but I
So
felt,
I'm gonna have a program that I'm gonna invite you to, because I too need to hear your story.
somebody told me that why haven't we heard your story? There's somebody who promised make herself available to interview me on my own program to hear my story, and I said that maybe going to be a 3-part story because my story is a very very long one.
Okay,
Very,
I
very long.
agree.
But I don't mind coming on your program. I don't mind coming on your program. Maybe not, but I don't know what the convention will be, but we'll see. But man,
Absolutely.
I,
We'll talk about it. We'll talk
yeah,
about it.
I'm happy to have you, man. I'm happy to get to know you a little bit more than I knew you back then from boys' days, young
Boys'
men's
days. You can imagine.
45 years.
That's a long
And you were
time.
just like 13, 14, 15 back then.
Yeah, because I was pretty
Wow.
young then. And I
Wow.
remember the time I generally, because I know you and your wife usually sings, and I said, I'm missing Doc. Where's Doc? Because when I go to Bethlehem at convention, I
Yeah.
would look for, and when Salisbury plane coming down, I would look for you. And they said, yes, migrated. I said, oh my God.
I left Bethlehem. I
Bethlehem
left
has
Bethlehem.
lost a soldier.
I left Bethlehem 1987.
Yeah.
87. I came back to bury my uncle though. I
Wow.
came back to bury him. So, whew, wow.
Wow.
But
I
we've been
tell
there, man. We've been there. But I just retired July.
Okay.
I just retired from pastoral ministry in July. I've been doing that for 46 years.
Oh my God.
So I just
That's
retired. Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So now,
Congrats, man.
I want to repurpose my ministry, help to develop other people, and that's what I'm doing now. That's one of the reasons why I'm starting this Bible study, this big picture Bible study. That it's an
Okay, I
open
know this is
opportunity.
not the program for, but can you just elaborate a little bit, because I'm trying to get some persons even from my church to be a part of your Bible studies program.
So this one I just did homiletics not too long ago. Now I'm doing this big picture Bible study. We're gonna cover all of the major events in the Bible. It's not an expository study, but
Yeah.
it's an educational study. It's gonna open up your eyes and understanding to all of the major events through
Uh-huh.
the Bible. When I finish that, then maybe I'll do a expository study because I like exposition. I like
Uh-huh.
line by line, but
Yes.
one of my favorite thing, and I
Mhm.
delight in doing that. So, but for this one, people have to register. They have to register to be part because it's going to be a Zoom setting
Oh, okay.
where we can interact, we can talk and ask
Mhm.
questions and get questions answered.
Okay, it's going to be an interactive session.
Yes, I'm going to teach, and we're going to have ask me questions, get answers,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So that's what that is going to be. But they have to register because we're going to do it Zoom, so they have to get the link through registration.
Okay, okay.
Right. So if you want, I can send you the registration. By the way, anybody want to register, then go to my website, obeckford.us.
Okay.
Let me just show you what you'll find right here. obeckford.us. If you go, this is my website right here. obeckford.us. Scroll it up. There are my
Mhm.
books. There are my books there too.
Oh, okay.
And they come to right here. That's the form right there. It said
And
big
you get
picture.
your books to buy online, Doc?
You can get my books online on Amazon, wherever they are. But if you're in America, you get it from me. You get an autograph copy. That's the
Oh my
difference.
God.
You get an autograph copy.
Where in the States are you now, Doc?
I'm in Florida now.
Okay, I need to come to Florida.
I'm in Florida now. So if you get to this to my website, here's the registration. You can click right here.
Mm-hmm.
It says register here, and there's the form. You just fill the form out, um, and submit it.
Okay. All right.
And it got to be done quickly because I need to respond and make connections so you can get all the connections. All right. What's your last word, man? We got 3 minutes to wrap it up because I want to keep it under 2 hours.
Okay. I want to say thanks to you for having me on this program. It's an honored
It's such a
privilege
pleasure to have you, man.
to be here. I really enjoy this session, and I just want to say that serving God is the best thing that ever happened to me. And if I should relive my life, I'll do it all over again.
So same here.
There is a once one start to serve God, it is amazing as to where God will take you. And I always say the gift of salvation is like a wrapped package that you get. And as you move on, you unwrap the package, not knowing what is inside, but the blessings of God that make it rich and had it no sorrow continues to unfold in your life. And God is going to lead you. By choice, I did not choose ministry. If I had my own way, I wouldn't want to be a pastor.
I didn't know I was gonna get there. No, it wasn't a plan.
Right? But I think God has a way of capturing those persons who really, really and truly don't want you, but God wants you because He has a purpose to be fulfilled through your life.
And the truth is, if you really want,
ministry.
the truth is, if you really want it too much, you might not be the right one for it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And for those who really, whilst many will serve for money or whatever, that is good. We can't do without that. But when you serve wholeheartedly and do without looking for anything, God will in turn invest and deposit in your life more than you can ever ask for.
Amen. Amen. I'm gonna have to chat with you again another time. We just open the door right here. Maybe,
Okay.
maybe I'll get Miss Donna on one of these days. Can I get
That
her
would be nice.
So
to hear her side of the story.
just take it, Donna, that I'm keeping my eyes on you. Wow. Thank you for joining me. You're gonna stay. We're gonna go off like how we came on, right? So you're gonna stay ready. My friends, thank you for joining me on another Let's Talk with the Doc. It's been my pleasure to have you, and my pleasure to have my friend, long time buddy. Been just knowing each other as Christians, young men. What a life. What a life. Thank God that you hold on, we held on, and we are still here by faith. Don't forget, my friend, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow me on Facebook. I am also on TikTok. Check ORB Ministries anyway. I have podcast. Just Google me. Google Bishop or Dr. Orville Beckford. Google me. I'm everywhere. You'll find my ministries that I do, and hope you can link up so we can stay connected. I will see you again in another Let's Talk with it. And by the way, if you have a story you want to share, I'd be more than happy to accommodate you. Email me at orbministries@gmail.com. I'd be more than happy to talk with you. All right. Until then, blessings and best wishes to all you, my friend. Pastor, you're going to stay there. We go off like we came on. See you again, my
Okay.
friend. Another Let's Talk with the Doc. Well, thank you for checking in on ORB Ministries. I trust that you will share with your friends, subscribe, hit the bell for notification, and stay tuned because you never know what's next or who will join the conversation.